Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about Deku was Typhon. So, in the last video Deku, after Izuku finally gotten ready for his first day at UA, it's finally the time where they're going to be going to UA High. So, after finally getting there and also getting a nap because it was still pretty early, Izuku met all of his brand new classmates, including Tenji Ida, the girl that's a bit too strict, a girl by the name of Momo Yaoyorozu, the soon-to-be heiress of the Yaoyorozu company, and finally the impertinent Bakugo, which she is kind of a delinquent. As in kind of, I mean a lot. Anyway, so, after Aizawa woke up, she told everybody to wear these special jumpsuits so they can prepare for their first activity, which is the quirk examination. So, after Izuku goes to a nearby bathroom so he can change, and also seeing like all of the girls looking at him, you know why? Because Izuku's the first boy that's able to use a quirk, and most of the girls there are basically living there and don't really know what boys look like until now. So, they tried talking to Izuku, but Izuku starts running away because he doesn't want to deal with them, and also he's currently busy right now. So, after he gets to the training area, they were told to throw a baseball like pretty far. So, when Izuku starts getting ready for his turn, Izuku puts his hand back and throws it as hard as he can, as it causes the ball to go into outer space, because Izuku's after all the father of all monsters, which means that he has monster strength. Get it? Monster strength. Anyway, so after the first day at UA, they decide to go to their dorms. That is where they're gonna be staying from now on. So, after Izuku gets to his dorm, Izuku was tired as he goes to sleep. So, let's talk about what happens next. So, as Izuku wakes up in his brand new room as Izuku starts getting ready for the next day of class. So, when Izuku starts preparing, Izuku made breakfast as, after he finishes breakfast, he starts going to Class 1A. So, after Izuku seeing all of his classmates, including the impertinent Bakugo, which she decides to insult Izuku again, but Izuku just ignored it, as when Izuku was basically just ignoring her, she starts making him a little bit more angrier. As the teacher arrives, being Aizawa, Aizawa explains that they're going to be having a special class pretty soon, which is basically at the end of like the day. So, after like a few normal-ish classes, which Izuku was okay at, except for math, because, back then math is a bit more complicated, but this time, in modern day, I guess it's kind of, you know, not as complicated. Yeah, I guess. Anyway, so, when it was about to be like almost at the end of class, the teacher arrives for this brand new class known as Heroics, as they hear the sound of stomping. Wait for a second. They hear the sound of stomping as they hear this. I'm coming to the door like a normal person. As Izuku just says this, what the heck is going on? As Ochako says this, I don't know. I don't really know what's gonna happen. As they hear the doors break open, as the hinges basically break off. As everybody sees All Might. As you see this, a bit too much. As she says this, nice to meet you all, kids. No, it's time for us to do our heroics class. But before that, what's the hero without his or her costume? So, as everybody gets their brand new costumes, which they have requested, Izuku was given that costume. Let me bring you back to like a certain time when Izuku was like getting ready for this brand new class. So, Izuku is basically like, wait for a second, is at the principal's office, specifically at the office with Aizawa, as Principal Nezu says that he's going to be having an heroics class. I meant he's going to be in heroics class very soon. So, he was told that he's going to be having a special uniform that's going to be made by one of the, wait for a second again, going to be having a costume made by one of the students at the support class. So, when Izuku was told of this, Izuku was directed to that area. So, when Izuku gets there, Izuku hears banging, specifically explosions, which Izuku thinks that Bakugo's there. So, when Izuku knocks on the door, Izuku sees mostly girls as they start looking at him. As Izuku was brought to Mei Hatsume, which is the girl that's going to be making his hero costume. As she says this. So, you must be the first boy that's able to use a quirk. Nice to meet you. My name is Mei Hatsume. As Izuku just says this. Hello. I wanted to ask, can you make me a hero costume? As she says this. Oh, I will gladly make you one. But first, I'm gonna be doing it my style. As Izuku just says this. What do you mean by your style? As she says this. You'll find out when you see it. So, when Izuku was getting his briefcase, Izuku started going to the brand new changing rooms specifically for him. This special changing room is only for him because, well, all girls. That's an only girls' school, so most of the lockers are mostly girls. As in mostly, I mean all of it. So this is the only locker that allows boys, specifically him, to use. Wait for a second. So, when Izuku gets there, Izuku thinks it's pretty nice as Izuku checks his brand new hero costume. Izuku realizes that it doesn't have an inner shirt. It only has a jacket and nothing else. Like, there's some pants and there's some other things, but there is no inner shirt, just a jacket. So he's going to be shirtless, basically. As Izuku just says this. Are you f***ing me right now? As Mei Hatsumi just like in the support class just sneezes as she says this. Is somebody talking about me? As Izuku just says this, we go back to his perspective. God dang it. Seriously. Why did she decide to make me look like this? So, after Izuku checks a little bit more of his hero costume, Izuku decides to wear it to the dismay of some of his classmates, specifically for Ida, because shirtless but still wearing a jacket. So, when everybody started going back to, well, not really going back, more like going into the training area, specifically the training area for rescue missions. Specifically, they're gonna be doing the whole villain fight. Izuku arrives as several of the girls see his, you know. So, when Izuku arrives there, some of the girls see his over there. This, specifically this. As Ida says this, how indecent, why are you not wearing a shirt? As Izuku just says this. Oh, maybe ask Mei Hatsume. She's the I look like this. As she says this. Taking bets that she's probably a pervert. As well, specifically, Mina says this. Oh my god. I can't believe this girl has a sense of humor. As Izuku just says this. Yeah, very funny. But seriously, it feels so indecent. As Ida says this. I guess you have to wear that for now. And also, what's with the boots? As Izuku just says this. I don't know. I guess it's kind of okay. But Izuku decides to turn like one of his arms into basically like a claw hand. Basically looking like this. As Izuku is also wearing this mask, specifically this one. Right over there, the one that looks like, you know, the one that looks like it has like a literal mouth on one side and the other one just looks, I guess, a bit normal. So, when after these like stop talking, wait for a second again. All Might explains it's going to be that they're going to be doing a special class. This class is called Heroics, and this class is going to be all about, well, hero work. So, they're going to be starting off this brand new class with a special activity. This activity is called the Heroes vs. Villain Battle. So, one of the heroes, specifically the students, are going to become the heroes, and the others are going to be a villain or villains. So, everybody was given a raffle as they started getting ready to pick their, well, members. Not really pick, more like randomly get their partners. So, after a while, Izuku was paired up with Bakugo. As Bakugo said this, am I seriously going to be working with this boy? As Izuku just says this, do you have a problem with me? As she says this, yeah, obviously, you're a boy. As Izuku just says this, you seriously are sexist? As she says this, whatever, you damn boy. So, after a while, it's finally time for their first battle, or first, like, a match. Izuku's gonna be going first with Bakugo, as their opponents are Ida and Ochako. As Ochako says this, good luck Izuku, as Ida says this, yeah, good luck. So, Izuku is waiting with Bakugo, as Bakugo said this, anyway, nerd, why am I seriously seriously working with you? As Izuku just says this, I don't know, maybe ask the teachers. As she says this, so, what's with your horn? As Izuku just says this, it's none of your business. As the first match starts, which everybody is excited to see Izuku in action. So, Izuku started going into the, wait for a second, into the building with Bakugo as they hear the sound of running. As Izuku thinks that it's probably Ida, as Izuku tells Ida, but Bakugo ignores them and instead tries to fight Ochako. As Izuku was forced to fight, Ida. As Ida is running towards him, Izuku creates two wings. The reason why I decided to not make this is because I don't have enough space for the portrait. So, Izuku starts flying with both of his wings, as Izuku creates a gigantic, like, sword arm, which looks like this. Yeah, this thing. So, Izuku starts slashing at her, as she starts using her kicks to try and beat him down. Izuku keeps dodging it, as Izuku creates electricity off his sword, and basically creates an electric slash, which impresses, well, Kaminari. The electricity was basically red, with bits of black, like, scattered all over. As Izuku starts using another, element, being fire. The fire was completely char black, like black as night, as everybody feels the heat, including, well, in the waiting room, everybody feels like, everything is, like, turning hotter and hotter by the second, feeling like an oven, as Izuku keeps beating down on her, but she keeps dodging it, as Izuku decides to use another element, being ice. So, Izuku decides to use ice, as when the ice is formed, it creates this shimmering blue color, like this deep, deep, deep navy blue, which Todoroki was impressed, because her ice is just a normal color. Izuku's eyes is completely different. It's a dark navy blue. So, when Ida got stuck on, well, Izuku's eyes, Izuku captures her as she is defeated. So, Izuku started running around as Izuku starts finding what do you call it? The stairs. As Izuku starts walking up the stairs, Izuku sees Bakugo. Bakugo was instantly defeated by Ochako because she learned the hand-to-hand combat after a bit of like training with, you know, wait for a second again, with Aizawa. So, after she was defeated, Bakugo, Izuku goes in as Ochako says this. So, are you ready, Izuku? As Izuku just says this. Huh. Well then, let's fight. As she starts charging in, getting ready to kick Izuku right up in the face. As Izuku turns a part of his face into basically like this metal scale like armor. As Izuku starts transforming himself into just imagine what is that name? Just imagine Izuku transforming into a Rathalos, specifically a dark and red version of it from like Monster Hunter, basically. So, Izuku starts spitting out black fire from his mouth. And specifically, the size of like the Rathalos is basically like the same size as like a car. So, Izuku starts breathing fire on her as she starts using her um her gravity quirk to start lifting off like rocks and debris and start kicking them to the point that they can probably like destroy a normal person's body. So, when she starts throwing them or kicking them onto Izuku, they mostly just break off some of his scales. Izuku feels pain, but Izuku still like keeps enduring it until Izuku sees a weakness in the fighting style of Ochako. She keeps letting her hips wait for a second her hips vulnerable. So Izuku decides to go for her hips. As when Izuku charges in, Izuku kicks her right in the hips, causing her to go flying. As when she was going like not really like wait for a second. When she gets hit by a wall, she gets knocked out. So after she was knocked out, Izuku goes towards the bomb and touches it, causing Izuku's team to win. So, after several other rounds, everybody starts discussing who was the MVP. Unfortunately, Bako starts saying that she's the MVP, obviously, but everybody decides to make Izuku sorry about that. Decide to make Izuku the MVP of the match, as Bako starts getting angry. But Izuku tells her to just calm down and say that, well, it's not really her fault, it's more like her pride is, well, you know, as she thinks that it's probably like a ticket to hell. Let's just say that. As she starts getting ready to fight Izuku, as Aizawa tells everybody to start behaving, she arrived at the nick of time as she tells everybody to start going back to the dorms. So, as everybody starts going back to the dorms, they basically all go to sleep. So, after like a few more days at like UA, they decide to go to the UA. Wait for a second. The UA facility known as the USJ. So, after Izuku hears that, Izuku says this. What the heck is the USJ? As one of the heroes, specifically, wait for a second, All Might explains. So, All Might explains that the USJ is basically like a special training area for like brand new students and also for heroes to basically hone their skills. So, after being told of that, Izuku decides to train there so he can probably become stronger. So, after a few more days, they finally get to go to the infamous USJ. So, wait for a second again. So, when everybody started getting ready, they decide to go onto the bus so they can get ready. Not, I meant, so they can go there. So, when they go onto the bus, they started talking about their quirks. Until it was Izuku's turn. So, Izuku basically explains that his quirk is basically like a type of shapeshifting. Izuku doesn't know what to really call it, but Izuku just calls it just shapeshifting. As everybody thinks it's pretty cool except for Bakugo because she thinks that her quirk is better than everybody else's. But many people, specifically the teacher, being Aizawa, was not really happy about like Bakugo stealing the show most of the time. So, when they get to the USJ, they meet up with the brand new hero by the name of 13. So, 13 basically explains what quirks are and if you're like good or evil, just basically that speech again. But she also adds that the USJ is also for people, specifically for normal people to train and also learn self-defense. So, after a while of walking, they hear the sound of a portal. As Kirishima says this, "Whoa, I didn't know that there's fake villains here." As Aizawa just says this, as they see several villains appear. Most, like, all of them are women. Because only quirks are for girls. Like, quirks are only appear on girls. So, many villains arrived as the villain leading the charge was a woman with several hands upon her body. Please don't put that out of context. She had several severed hands upon her body, and the other was a woman that seems to be wearing some sort of like bartender type outfit, but her face was basically just like a puff of dark smoke or gas or whatever. As the girl says this, "We are the League of Villains, and we're here to capture the boy. The boy by the name of Izuku Midoriya. And we're here to make him ours." So, as many of the villains arrived, many of the heroes, specifically, wait for a second, Midnight, not really Midnight, I mean Midnight arrived there as well for her class, but, Midnight is basically like, doing something else. So, Aizawa and 13 were standing off against the League of Villains, which they call themselves that. So, after many of the students see the League of Villains, Izuku decides to fight with them. So, they're now standing against this League of Villains, getting ready to kill Aizawa, 13, and Izuku, so they can capture Izuku for whatever reason. So, before we actually start the fight, this is actually going to be the end of the episode. So yeah, I'm gonna be leaving this like episode for now at this cliffhanger. So I hope you liked the video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.